This week on Boring Gear Reviews, we've got my 2023 Black Bobbin Jazzmaster. Alright, so if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I primarily play Gibson-style guitars. But I've been wanting a Jazzmaster for a really long time. I've been really kind of paying attention to what's out on Reverb and looking at new stuff as well. When I saw what Shelby was doing with the Black Bobbin stuff, I was super interested. I really love the headstock design and his approach to finishes with like super thin, non-plasticizer based nitro so that they'll check and weather and all that stuff and age, and hearing about how the necks weren't overly lacquered, and the Lollar Black Bobbin Lollar pickups that I've heard before, and the mastery parts and all that stuff. I just thought, well, this is kind of a perfect fit. Because if I was going to go with a Jazzmaster from another company, I'd probably be replacing the electronics and hardware with the same stuff that came stock on these Black Bobbins. And then one day this one popped up on Reverb, and I was like, wow, that's super pretty. I'm not sure if I'm a green guitar guy, but I'll put it in my watch list and just keep an eye on it, just like I do with, like 59 Les Pauls and stuff like that. So at a certain point, it got to a price that I just couldn't deny what a crazy deal it was. And I figured, well, if I was ever going to have a chance to buy one, this is it. So I pulled the trigger and I got it. So right after I did that, I had posted on my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. I had posted on my Instagram in the stories a picture of this and said, like I did a thing, and then I tagged Black Bobbin. What's really funny is that a guy messaged me, someone who follows me on Instagram, he messaged me and he asked if I bought this on Reverb. I said, yeah, and he was like, I was seconds away from buying it. So, I won a duel. That's nice, a secret duel I didn't even know about, so that's always fun. And then what was really cool is that so I tagged Black Bobbin, and then Shelby messaged me, and he was like, dude, that's so awesome. Thanks so much for picking it up. Let me know when it arrives. Or no, he asked, like, when is it coming? I think I ordered it on a Monday, and then it was coming on like a Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it was. And he was like, cool, man, let me know what you think. So whatever it was, Wednesday or Thursday rolls around, and he messaged me. He remembered, and he reached out to me and was like, dude, tell me, what do you like it? How do you think? And I was so blown away by that. Customer service and like just connecting with people is a really big deal for me. I talk about it on this channel a lot, that I want to work with people or do business with people who are nice and have, a strong desire to make the world, nicer and happier and more friendly and all this stuff. And right away, I was like, oh, well, here it is right here. So I had just gotten it, and I had told him, like, man, this thing is outstanding. So like I said, I primarily play Gibson-style guitars. And, for anybody who is unaware of the differences, the main difference is going to be, like, the scale length of the neck. Fender-style guitars are slightly longer, 25.5 inch, and Gibson-style guitars are just a little bit shorter, 24 3/4. It makes a little difference when you're playing. It's not like, the difference between playing a bass and a guitar, but there's some difference there. But that doesn't really bother me. My first two guitars were Fender-style guitars. I had a Squier Strat for my first guitar, and then a Telly for my second guitar. I still have that Telly. It's in pieces because I'm refinishing it. Other than that, the electronics are different. Obviously, the body styles are different. But for me, I just have always really preferred the look and feel and sound of like Gibson-style humbucker guitars. With that being said, I've always loved Tellys, and then Jazzmasters were the other type of Fender guitar I like. I'm not really a Strat guy. To me, they sound like kind of flappy plastic. If you hate what I just said, just comment below and let me know. So when I took it out of the case, I was like, wow, that is gorgeous and super, super green. And I'm not sure if I'm a green guitar guy, was what I was thinking. And so I started playing it right away, and I was like, wow, this thing feels fantastic. The very first thing I noticed was the finish. This is, I don't know another way to describe it, as the softest finish I've ever felt on a guitar. It has like a, I guess it's like a satin feel, but it's not like dull or anything like that. It just feels soft. It's super kind of silky when it's resting on your arm or your hand or whatever. And that feeling continues on the neck as well. And I kind of like pour it over the guitar, and it's immaculate. Like everything about it is exactly what a boutique, custom ordered guitar should be. The fretwork, the finish, all the details on it are just outstanding. Clearly, like a ton of care is put into making these things worth what you're paying for them. For me, a big part of that price tag is going to be like with how I'm treated and the customer service. So in shipping, something had kind of happened to the vibrato. And when I was using it, it would kind of like get hung up and make this kind of clang, and you could feel it and all this stuff. It wasn't smooth like mastery vibratos are. So I messaged Shelby about it. I was like, hey man, this is happening. He's like, cool, send me a video. He sends me a video, and he was like, well, look, send the guitar back. I'll send you a slip, whatever. Send it back. I'll fix it and I'll ship it back. And right then I was like, wow, that's rad. There was no, on his end, there was no feeling of like, oh, you're trying to take me for a ride or, get one over on me to, he was just like, oh, well, if it's not exactly right, just send it back and I'll handle it. And I told him, like, I would love to not leave it. I'd like to keep it. Is there another way? He's like, well, I can ship one to you, a new vibrato. If you're handy, you can replace it yourself. I said, yeah, absolutely. And it was here like 2 days later. This is a secondhand guitar. The original owner got it in January, and I bought it in March. So not only does he stand by his product, but he stands by it with a second owner. He wasn't making an extra sale off of me. He just wanted me to be happy with my guitar that has his name on it. That's a really big deal for me. I have other custom guitars that I paid that really premium price for. And while I think the guitar is good, my experience dealing with the builder and the company was horrible. I was treated so terribly, like I didn't matter at all. Really, really disrespected multiple times while I was trying to be super nice and patient, just over and over, made to feel like, terrible, awful. So for Shelby and Black Bobbin to do the complete opposite of that and make me feel super welcomed and happy and excited to have this guitar, and then take care of anything I needed, was massive. So thank you so much, Shelby. You're doing an awesome thing, and I couldn't be happier with this. Spoiler alert. All right, so let's get into how it sounds. So for this first clip, I'm going to be using the Holy Island Audio Glass Palace. If you want to see a full review, go ahead and click the link. And I'm also going to be using the Death by Audio Echo Dream 2. Again, if you want to see the full video, click the link. And I'm going to be running the Jazzmaster in the middle position. So here I'm going for like a light breakup with just kind of a nice, fairly fast delay underneath to add some space and movement. And what I think is so cool about this is you'll hear how dynamic the pickups are. They are really interactive and respond to your playing super well. So when I'm picking light, you get more of that kind of glassy, what you'd think of when you hear a Jazzmaster or a Fender style guitar. And then as I dig in harder, I'm not changing any settings. As I dig in harder, you'll hear it break up a lot more, and it gets a little more brash, a little trashier. I don't mean trashy in like a negative way, but in the way that Jazzmasters break up. There's like a trashiness to the high end. It sounds fantastic, really awesome. All right, so in this next clip, I'm going to be using the Smallsound, Bigsound Buzzz, and then the Glass Palace again. In the beginning, I'm just going to be using the bridge pickup and then both of these pedals on. A little way through, I'm going to flip on the rhythm circuit. So the rhythm circuit. So essentially there's a circuit here that you access with this switch that basically turns on the neck pickup and then rolls off a lot of high end. Jazzmasters are super bright guitars. And for this whole demo, I'm running the tone around 7. So normally, let's say you're using either pickup and you have your tone pot, fully open. When you click on the rhythm circuit, it's going to get much darker, and where you would hear like, oh, there's like a rhythm guitar, and then a lead guitar is much brighter. For me personally, because I already have the tone rolled back a little bit, switching the rhythm circuit on isn't that big of a change. So I think at some point I might rewire this so the volume and tone are just attached to the neck pickup, and then these volumes and tones are attached to the bridge, and then maybe use the switch for something else, like, I don't know, like maybe put like an octave circuit in there. Not that I know how to do that, but I'll figure it out. Either way, I did want to show how the circuit works anyway. So you're going to hear the bridge pickup with both of those pedals on, and then I'll turn on the rhythm circuit. And you'll hear it get kind of very dark and stoner doom stuff. It's really, really thick and massive. Sounds awesome. And then I'm going to engage the octave circuit in the Buzzz. And then you'll hear how well these pickups can handle just like a ton of gain and a ton of wacky octave stuff going on. That type of tone can be a challenge for some pickups where they lack clarity. And that is not even close to the case with these Black Bobbin Lollar pickups. All right, so in this next clip, we're going to use the neck pickup on the Jazzmaster, and then I'm also going to use the Glass Palace and Death by Audio rooms. And here we're going to roll the volume back. So you're going to hear how well it cleans up, and then I'll roll the volume all the way on, and you'll hear how the neck pickup deals with like a low to mid gain distortion. This really nails that kind of thick, glassy Jazzmaster sound. All right, so in this last clip, we're going to use the Glass Palace going into the Death by Audio rooms, and then finally at the end of that chain, we're going to have the Fairfield Circuitry 900 fuzz. If you'd like to check out my full demo of the 900, go ahead and click the link. This is one of my favorite ways to use drive and reverb, is drive into reverb and then drive at the end. And when you do that, you kind of want two things. Well, I kind of want two things. I want to create like a big, massive sound, but I still want note clarity and articulation. And while that's going to have something to do with the pedals and the amp, kind of the major part of that is going to be the guitar. So here you'll hear the way that the pickups handle this really intense overloaded signal, and it's not going to lose any of the clarity and resonance of the guitar. So you'll still hear the notes being picked out and ringing out, even though there's going to be this just kind of huge wash of sound with it. The other thing I'm going to do here is beat the hell out of the mastery vibrato. Everybody tells me that the mastery is not a Floyd, and I totally get it. It's not. It's definitely not. However, hear me out. While it handles that kind of slow, very subtle pitch vibrato as well or better than any other kind of tremolo system, you can really punish it too. And so in this clip, I'm going to just go crazy on it. Constant hammering it down and pulling up. And what's really cool is that this guitar will not go out of tune. The first night I got this Jazzmaster, my son was playing with it, and there's a video on my Instagram that I posted where he's kind of using the mastery arm, just going up and down, banging on it, asking what it's for. It's very cute and fun. And that was when I first noticed that, like, oh wow, this thing stays completely in tune no matter what's happening to it. So here I'm going to demonstrate that. And then at the end of doing that, I'm going to turn off all the pedals and I'll play a chord clean, and you can hear that it's perfectly in tune. Nothing has changed. I don't think I've ever had a guitar handle a vibrato arm this well ever. I have guitars with Bigsby's that do super well, but after a lot of heavy use and, like, you know, big punishing, you know, dive bombs and stuff like that, it'll go out of tune a little bit. And I have another guitar with a mastery vibrato, and it doesn't stay that well in tune. But it's not the vibrato, because this is the exact same tremolo system, a vibrato system, and tuning doesn't move an inch. So that's very, very exciting. I don't know what kind of sorcery had to happen to make that work, but I'm super glad that it does. Also, the tuning pegs on this guitar are not locking. They're just standard tuners. And yeah, anyway, you'll hear. It's amazing. All right, and that'll do it for the Black Bobbin Jazzmaster. You know, suffice it to say, I'm in love with this guitar. I have had it for about 6 or 7 weeks, and I have a very difficult time not picking this up. It's outstanding. By far, for me, the best Fender style guitar I've ever played. Feels totally different than my Les Pauls or 335, and I love the differences. It's just, you know, everything from the fit and finish, the feel of the neck, the fretwork, the electronics, the hardware, you know, everything about this is like a luxury guitar experience, which is not something I ever felt from any other Fenders, even ones that I liked. I felt like, whoa, this is a nice guitar, this is a cool guitar, but like it's not the same thing as when you play like a really boutique guitar or like a high-end Les Paul or something like that. It's just different. And this is the first time I've played, you know, this style guitar where I felt like, damn, this is worth what you're paying for. And like I said before, you know, outstanding customer service is really a big thing for me. And, you know, Shelby and them are just, they're doing something special. They really care. That matters. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of this guitar. So yeah, this thing is just crazy comfortable. One thing it took me a second to get used to is the fret wire. You know, as like a Les Paul type player, I'm used to a bit wider and taller frets. And this is plenty tall, but it's kind of more narrow. And that took me a second to get used to, but now I don't even notice it. It's awesome. If you're on the fence, whether or not you should grab one of these Black Bobbins, just hop right over. There is no scenario that I could imagine anyone not falling in love with one of these. So there you have it. As always, check the links in the description for all the gear I've used. And if you enjoy this content, please consider hitting that like and subscribe. And I'll see you next week with another video. Peace.